Now, WJZ's Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health.
This is Purple Connection. I'm Alex Glaze. With yesterday's loss to the Steelers, for the first time since 2007, the Ravens have lost home division games in consecutive weeks. Baltimore no longer in control of their playoff destiny, and their chances of making it to the postseason took a major hit. Lamar Jackson says that his frustration is through the roof.
I feel like Thanksgiving game, we shouldn't have lost that game. You know, it was turnovers, unfortunately. But this one here is like, I don't know what happened.
We, still got a chance. We play Pittsburgh again at the end, play Cincinnati next week. But obviously, this one hurts, and we'll look at the film and figure out where we go from here.
And joining me tonight, we have Tim Barbalis of 105.7 The Fan and Kyle Goon of the Baltimore Banner. Guys, let's just start right here. A tough loss. This team now searching for answers, out of control of their playoff destiny. Just Kyle, how do you assess where this team is at right now?
They are clearly on the outside looking in. I think they're in danger of becoming one of the most disappointing Ravens teams of all time, given just the sheer number of people who predicted this team had the superpower to win a Super Bowl. And even when you take into account some of the injuries that have happened this year, you haven't had Lamar all year. I just think we should be disappointed right now where the Ravens are. And you talked a second ago about Lamar's frustration. What about our frustration? I think that's what fans are left with right now with 4 weeks to go.
Yeah, I think simply you are what your record says you are. And right now the Ravens are 6-7, and that says that they're not a very good football team right now. And I thought yesterday was sort of a microcosm of the season, where the offense going against a struggling Steelers defense that got absolutely ran over against Buffalo the prior week. They only scored 3 points in their first 4 possessions, and then they were able to turn it on a little bit, but struggles inside the red zone and short yardage situations. The 3rd and 2, when they had the opportunity to get 1st and goal at the 5, illegal formation, Henry tackle for a 3-yard loss. It was just ugly. And then the Ravens defense, Aaron Rodgers, he was having a field day on them. He went a month without completing a pass of 20-plus air yards. First play offensively for them, deep ball to DK Metcalf. First play of the second half, deep ball to DK Metcalf, and the pass rush just could never get home.
Yeah, I think I was surprised to also hear Marlon Humphrey after the game say that they expected that, because that's how the Steelers have attacked them in the past. But Kyle, you actually have a column up on the Baltimore Banner's site right now talking about Lamar Jackson. I think that, whether it's fair or unfair, however you view it, Lamar has been getting his fair share of criticism over the past couple of weeks for his play. And there have been questions about his health and, if Lamar is able to go. He looked pretty good yesterday. I mean, from my eyes, he was running the ball, in command of the offense for the most part. I think that, what did you see from Lamar yesterday that maybe we haven't seen over the past couple of weeks?
Yeah, I just think I'm an emotional viewer, and I just look for somewhat vibes. I think there's just a sense of confidence. Lamar, obviously, with his first rushing touchdown since week 1 against Buffalo. And in the second half, he was able to kind of fake to the run and throw a touchdown pass, open up Isaiah Likely with the threat of his run. That's the Lamar Jackson we've been used to seeing, somebody who can use multiple tools in his arsenal to just keep defenses in circles. And it just felt like for the first week in a long time, it was Lamar dictating a little more, especially on that last drive of the second quarter into the end of the game. I know it didn't end the way that the Ravens wanted, but the way he was able to evade, the way he was able to move, it looked more like Lamar Jackson.
It was definitely the best we've seen Lamar in a little bit. And it still wasn't vintage Lamar Jackson, but like you said, Kyle, we saw the glimpses of it, the rushing touchdown. It seemed like he showed more of a willingness to run the football. He was making some strikes over the middle of the field as well, but the interception, that just can't happen. Him not getting enough loft on the football when he was targeting Rasheen Ali. He's got to cut down on the turnovers. Yeah, guys, we're talking about Lamar. We were all in the locker room yesterday. I think we've been around this team after losses. That was an emotional Lamar Jackson. Sitting at his locker, guys coming up to him, John Harbaugh sitting with him for a while, Derrick Henry sitting with him. Lamar going over and talking to Mark Andrews, Ronnie Stanley coming over and joining the conversation. I hadn't seen
anything like that in a while. To me, I don't know how you guys feel about this. I think that loss, I think it has impacted this team a lot more than just the one game. I think that they realize just how big and how much of an impact that has on what these next 4 weeks look like for them.
Yeah, I mean, I think what's crazy is even though they started 1-5, this is really the first week where the Ravens don't really control their own destiny. I mean, when they were 1-5, I'm sure all of us were sitting here disappointed. I mean, I remember that show, but we still kind of looked at the schedule and like, well, you can kind of dig yourself out. And I think the Ravens have been carrying that attitude, maybe a little cavalier for starting the season 1-5, but still, believing that in their hearts they're a playoff team, they're a contender. I think this is really the first game where you can kind of say, I don't know if that really matters. I don't think it's lack of confidence, it's lack of execution. They haven't been good enough on Sundays or last week Thursdays to win the games that matter. And I think there is a little bit of a mindset shift after this game.
I'm going to cut to the point. Is this team done?
Tim, I think we're close. I don't think they're done, but I think we're close.
I'm with Kyle. They have to run the table. If you win your remaining 4 games, you do win the division. Now, the odds of that happening, winning in Cincinnati, a team that just blew you out, and then you're taking on the Patriots, Green Bay, and then Pittsburgh again, I just don't know how likely it is. And we heard Marlon Humphrey in the lead up to last week's game must win. And the playoff probabilities, it took a significant hit losing that football game.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking to guys last week, and everyone was saying this is a playoff game. Well, when you lose in the playoffs, you go home. So from where I'm standing, this team's done. And that's why we saw the emotional Lamar Jackson yesterday. We saw the emotion from other players. I mean, we're looking at the remaining schedule here. I think that they know that they're done. I think that, yes, there is still a mathematical chance that they are able to win the division, make it to the postseason. But like you said, Tim, the odds of that happening, we're looking at facing a Bengals team. They're red hot right now. That offense is humming. T. Higgins dealing with concussions. We'll see if he's able to go on Sunday. But they didn't need him last time. They didn't need him on Thanksgiving. The Patriots, one of the hottest teams in football, coming here. That game just got flexed to prime time. So the whole world's going to be watching that game. Green Bay, another strong NFC team, and then you have to go on the road to Pittsburgh to face a Steelers team that just came here and stole one.
It's just very daunting. And this Ravens team, they beat one team with a winning record, Chicago. That's it. And New England, they might be the 1 seed in the AFC when it's all said and done. Green Bay, they're going to make the playoffs. And Pittsburgh, they always finish with a winning record or 500, even though you can't anymore with 17 games. But we just haven't seen anything to show that they can finish with a 4-game winning streak.
Yeah, and here I'd kind of go to what my column yesterday was about, which is the only hope this team has is if Lamar Jackson pulls off a crazy run. And we've seen it before, especially against the Bengals, especially in primetime games. I was getting a little bit of that energy at the end of this game against the Steelers, fourth quarter. I mean, we've seen him not do much for weeks, and I was still sort of, just based on the way he was playing, I was sort of like, it could happen, and it didn't. But they were very close, and there's an argument that it probably should have happened on the Isaiah Likely pass. So I think if Lamar can recapture that and be brilliant over the last 4 weeks, there's a chance. But short of that, it's not happening.
To piggyback on what you're saying, Kyle, I think on the defensive side too, if there is something that this team can hang their hat on right now, that fourth quarter defense really shut things down in that Steelers game. And no one's talking about it because of how the game ended. But I think that this defense, they started off the season rough. We know that. But they really have turned a corner. And, I mean, aside from pass rush and some of the other areas, as a unit, they've really come together and put together, I think, some of their better performances over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah, and the secondary has been somewhat the saving grace of this unit because we all know the pass rush can't get home. And they've been very disciplined, and I've been very impressed by that. I would like to have seen a little bit more of the dynamic Kyle Hamilton that we've seen in the last few weeks this last week. But, they had a shot. They had a shot to win.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, We're playing What's the Word? A lot to discuss when we're talking about this Ravens game. Tough loss to the Steelers yesterday, but we're going to try to make it through this show. More Purple Connection coming up after this.
The Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. This is the Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. It's time for What's the Word? I'm going to throw out a phrase and you guys fill in the blank with whatever word you feel fits. Okay, a report during the broadcast yesterday from Tracy Wolfson about a spat, if you will, or confrontation between Lamar Jackson and Daniel Faalele, the Ravens guard. So we'll just start there. The reported Lamar Jackson-Faalele confrontation is what, Kyle?
Yeah, I would say overdue. I would say I've been waiting for a Raven to call out this offensive line. Alex, talking to you, I think you have too. Listen, I mean, we know the line kind of is what it is. The Ravens have decided these are our best five, and I'm not even sure I can argue with that. But that doesn't mean we can't have some frustration and some people kind of stirring things up on the sideline. I mean, I appreciate that fire out of Lamar that came right after the interception, which we all know was bad. And after that, Lamar played better. I thought it was overdue.
Yeah, that was the word I was going to use, Kyle, so I'll just go with expected. And we've seen multiple times this season Lamar lose his cool, throw his helmet on the sideline, but that was kind of the first spat that he's had with any of his offensive linemen, at least that the sideline reporter picked up on. And I just think it was expected at this point.
I'm going to say warranted. That's the word that I would use here. I mean, listen, Lamar is getting beat up. He has been getting hit more than he has probably ever in his life, and a lot of it has to do with the right side of that offensive line, and a lot of it has to do with Daniel Faalele. Every week we see the clips, and everyone's surprised that you could put together a 2-minute, 3-minute montage from one game, from one player, and then hear the head coach come out and say that he thought that player played well. But that has been the case with Daniel Faalele, and I mean, I don't think it's any surprise what's going to happen. I think we're going to see that guard position addressed in a big way this offseason. All right, our next topic, guys, as we move on here, touched on it a little bit, but that Ravens fourth quarter defense was what, Tim?
Fantastic. 3 3-and-outs to finish the game. You gave your offense a chance to win the football game, and that's all you could ask for at that point of the game. Now, look, was it a great game by the defense overall? No. Aaron Rodgers, he threw for a season-high 284 yards. DK Metcalf went for a season-high in receiving yards. But in crunch time, they showed up big.
Kyle?
Yeah, the word I would use is united. I mean, that's what struck me about the defense the last few weeks, and you know, they had holes in their game plan, which we know of. I mean, the Jaylen Warren touchdown, that was bad, but by that fourth quarter, it just felt like the assignments and adjustments were understood. Remind me a little bit of, you know, the second half of the AFC Championship game a few years ago. They had some breakdowns, they figured them out, and they gave this defense a chance. And Teddy Buchanan should have had an interception. I'm going to die on that hill.
I was going to say lock down for the reason Tim said. I mean, we talk about the 3-and-outs, giving your team a chance. The unit really came together when it mattered most. Regardless of what happened in the first 3 quarters, that fourth quarter was really special. All right, last one, guys. Lamar's emotional locker room scrum was what? We've been around Lamar a lot. We've seen and we've talked to him a good amount. I can't remember the last time I talked to him and he just seemed emotional. I hate to keep using that word, but I mean, there were dang near tears in his eyes, Kyle.
Yeah, I'm just going to say it and say depressing. You know, in that respect, I think it was a little bit like a playoff loss. That is when I've seen Lamar that worked up. That is when I've seen Lamar that disappointed in himself after playoff losses. And it did kind of feel like that. And it was honestly kind of sad to see.
Tim, it felt like something deeper than that, though, because I feel like I was there in Buffalo last year when they lost. I mean, that's as dejected as I've seen Lamar. And that was even different because he was very quiet, soft-spoken, he was almost at a loss for words. He had words. He was frustrated. He was ticked off. I mean, I think all these emotions are just bubbling up in him. And I mean, he said he didn't know what went wrong. I mean, it wasn't hit. I don't put that loss on him. So confused. He's confused.
The word I use is sobering. And this is pretty much the same exact offense from last year. Subbing in Patrick McCary for Andrew Voorhees, DeAndre Hopkins for Nelson Aguilar. It's the same exact offense, but they're getting anything but the results that they were getting in 2024 when Lamar had a historic year. Derrick Henry had a historic year. The offensive line as a whole was much, much better last year than it was this year. They're just left searching for answers.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, a lot happened around the league yesterday as we entered the fourth quarter, or we continue through the fourth quarter of the regular season and get ready for the playoff push. More Purple Connections coming up.
The Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. The League Checkup, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. Care bravely.
And welcome back to Purple Connection. It's time for League Checkup. A lot happened around the league, especially, if you're paying attention to the AFC and last night's game with the Texans and Chiefs. We're going to talk about that in just a second here. But big news, Daniel Jones out for the season with a torn Achilles. That obviously a major loss for the Colts. And then Chiefs lose to the Texans, eliminated from the AFC West title. Bills rallied to beat the Bengals, and then Jordan Love has 3 touchdowns to beat the Bears and take the lead in the AFC North. So, guys, what stood out to you?
It's got to be the Chiefs. They're done. They're done at this point. They're 6-7, and you could see in the locker room, their guys knew that they were done. It was a similar locker room vibe that the Ravens had yesterday against the Steelers. And I think Andy Reid really lost the plot in that game, going for it on his own 30, 31-yard line with how his defense had been playing, really shutting down the Texans in the second half of that football game. You gifted them points. The Texans ended up scoring a touchdown, and they never trailed at that point.
Hey, Kyle, how about this? I believe we are all, I think Timmy too, I think we're all around the same age, right? I just turned 34. Phillip Rivers, happy 44th birthday to Phillip Rivers. Invited to work out with the Colts.
Crazy.
At 44 years old. Listen, I know how my body feels, when I wake up, do a Peloton workout or really do anything. How is he about? I don't know how this is going to work out. But 44-year-old Phillip Rivers making a comeback. That'd be something, huh?
Well, yeah, I've already slacked my coworkers about this, and I am pro the oldest quarterback, the starting quarterback you can possibly find. I'm pro Joe Flacco. Not pro Aaron Rodgers, but I respect, the ancient ones. I love it. I freaking love it. And I just would wonder, Phillip Rivers has what, like 20 kids? 40 kids, something like that. Maybe it's just dad strength. Maybe it's just exponential dad strength that he's still slinging the football. I think his kid's in high school right now, so he's got kids to throw to, I guess.
He's definitely got enough kids to run a little 7-on-7 in the backyard for sure. But I believe he's been retired since 2020, Tim.
It's been quite some time, but desperate times call for desperate measures. Losing Daniel Jones for the year, probably losing him for part of next year. They were one of the big surprise teams, and now they're just on a free fall right now, and they're trying to throw something against the wall and hoping something sticks.
Can we just appreciate for a second that one of their quarterbacks is on the IR for slapping himself with a workout band? Like, come on. What are we doing?
I don't want to make light of injury, Kyle.
Sorry, okay.
We all hope that Anthony Richardson is healing up.
We hope he's okay.
Well.
Hope he bounces back.
But Tim, yeah, I'm going to go with you. That Chiefs game last night was something. The Texans are a sneaky, dangerous team in the AFC North. For as bad as we're talking about bad offensive lines, that offensive line is god-awful. They're going to get C.J. Stroud killed. But their defense is just as good as their offensive line is bad. Like, it's really impressive what they were able to do. I mean, Travis Kelce, great career, brother, but, might be time. The Chiefs, it's crazy to say that they might be done, but they definitely are done. They definitely are done now. Just really interesting to see what's going to happen in Kansas City.
No, yeah. By the way, possibly no Mahomes, no Burrow, no Lamar. That is crazy in the AFC.
And the craziest part is I think that's what makes this year sting even more for the Ravens. The division is as bad as it's ever been. The AFC is as wide open as it's ever been, especially in the Lamar Jackson era. And for them to not even make the playoffs, where it's looking likely they're going to be on the outside looking in, just a massive disappointment.
Been here before a couple of years ago, number 1 seed, playoffs come through Baltimore, been here. So this feels very similar to that when kind of the cards are stacked in your favor. And when I believe, every starting quarterback pretty much in the whole conference was out except for Mahomes. And then that happened. All right, we're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to wrap up the show and get to our question of the week. More Purple Connections coming up after this.
A Purple Connection, brought to you by LifeBridge Health. And now, Game Day Advice, brought to you by Rice Law. For the best advice, call Rice.
And welcome back to Purple Connection as we now turn the page to the Bengals. The Ravens in Cincinnati on Sunday to face a tough Bengals team. So our key to the game, be the kings of the Queen City. The Queen City, Cincinnati? I thought that was Charlotte. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe are there two Queen Cities? I don't know. Okay, well, the Ravens 5-5 in their last 10 games in Cincinnati. Lamar Jackson, 921 passing yards, 277 rushing yards in 5 games in Cincy. And last year went absolutely nuclear in Cincinnati, and we're going to need that kind of performance from Lamar if the Ravens are going to come out on top, guys.
Well, the offense certainly has to be much, 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 much better than they were on Thanksgiving. And after holding the Ravens to 14 points, forcing 5 turnovers, Buffalo just scored 39 points. And I know 1 touchdown was a pick 6, but that Cincinnati defense is terrible. The Ravens offense, you hope that they can carry over some momentum from the end of that Steelers game, that middle part of that Steelers game, into Sunday.
Kyle, what are you looking to see from the Ravens? The Thanksgiving loss, that's a tough pill to swallow. This Steelers loss.
First of all, I want to forget that the Thanksgiving game ever happened. I would like my holiday back. We can't get that, so let's move forward. Turnover margin. Can you hold on to the football? Can you move your hand forward without letting it go? The football's toxic to you. The Ravens did a lot of weird things that led to 5 turnovers in that game. Don't get 5 turnovers. You have a pretty good shot of winning the game if you do that.
That's fair. All right, and that brings us to our question of the week as we head to this game. If you were coaching the Ravens, what would be your top priority heading into the Bengals game? We want to hear from you. Head over to any of WJZ's social media channels and weigh in. The best answers will be featured on Purple pregame Sunday morning. Tim, let's start with you. If you were coaching this team, what would be your priority this week?
I know it sounds simple, but it's flush it. You got to flush that Steelers game. You have to move on. I know it feels like the season is over, but if you do run the table, massive if, you win the division. So you just got to play this next game. You could flush 2 weeks ago with the Thanksgiving game, the team that you're about to play. So I would say that. Just kind of get the headspace right.
And Kyle's going to have everyone punching at the ball, right? Turnovers, that's what we're...
Yeah, well, punch at the ball, but if you're holding the ball and you need to hold maybe like this and this and this, not this.
Oh,
we've learned that's not a catch.
There we go. Yeah, that's not a catch.
Don't extend, maybe just like in here. I don't know. Well, the NFL, let's get some clarity on that. Let's get Gene whatever on here to tell us. But yeah,
need to get things cleared up there.
Yep. And close.
All right, well, that's going to do it for this week's Purple Connection. For Kyle Goon and Tim Barbalas, I'm Alex Glaze. We do the show every Monday during the season. We will be back next Monday. Have a good night.